Hello and welcome everyone to season 5 of the College Chess Podcast. This is sponsored by Susquehanna, and my name is Joe. I'm joined by the one and only Uli from Lander College for Men. Uli, welcome. How are you feeling?
Doing good. Thank you so much for bringing me on here.
Awesome. So you are actually a streamer. Do you care to tell us a little bit about how you got into that?
I've been playing chess for let's say I think 7 years now. And I had joined, the Collegiate Chess League not too long ago. And I had been speaking around to a lot of people who, when you start getting into college, sometimes for a lot of people it can get a little hard to continue playing as much chess as you usually have before then, because, start to get into the real world, so to say. So I had spoken to a lot of people, and a lot of people sort of said, "Hey, why don't you just stream? Then you could play chess, and we think you'd be good at it." So I had given it a shot. I had tried it a few years back and didn't really have too much success with it. So I had stopped for tried it a few times, stopped for maybe a year, and I just got back into it, a few months ago, and it's been a lot of fun. Just being able to play chess, interact with viewers, and just overall having a good time. So it's been a lot of fun.
That's awesome. And would you say you watch a lot of other chess streamers, or like were inspired by anyone in particular?
Yeah, so I think for me, probably the biggest one would be Gotham Chess. I know that everybody knows Gotham. Um, I had started watching Gotham, the Botes sisters, Agadmator, Hikaru. I really started watching all of them. I would say around 2020. I hadn't actually known about the online chess presence that existed before then, even though I had been playing a little bit of chess and I had a chess.com account, but I didn't realize the amount of streamers that were out there making amazing content for everybody. So I'd started watching around then, right before, I like to say right before the big boom of the online chess streaming and YouTube. I remember that when I had started watching Gotham, he had just dropped his YouTube channel. And I remember laughing how I was like on his stream, I was watching a stream, he was like, "Go sub," and I basically go sub to the YouTube channel, and I went and I subscribed, and I was like the 4,000 subscriber to his YouTube channel. So like now he has like millions, and it's just always like a little funny to look back at that. He's been really great just because um, he doesn't just like make chess content; he makes it very entertaining, and I sort of try to live up to that in the sense where I'm not just making chess content. I'm also trying to spread it to the masses. Not just to the chess crowd, but really to anybody who would be interested in that type of stuff who hasn't seen it yet. So for me, I would say probably Gotham. Also the Botes sisters are really good at that content piece, I would say. Same with Agadmator and Hikaru. They're really stretching the bounds. I know Agadmator, um, he focuses more on like game analysis, which is still really cool, especially because he does lots of different games. Um, and Hikaru really just one of the best players in the world, and showing all that off. So that's been really cool to watch them, and really trying to inspire. I'm trying to be like them as much as I can.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I've definitely tuned into a few of your streams and really appreciate that you're getting into this online streamer community. There's definitely a lot of people that stream. I similarly didn't realize how many streamers there were when I first discovered chess on Twitch. And we actually have another college chess streamer in the chat. He's graduated, but he's still going strong. Sir Chess a lot. He's from California. But I wanted to ask a little bit about your college chess experience. Tell us a little bit about Lander College for men and what the chess community is like there.
For me, honestly, I actually I'm a transfer student. I was in a different college last year, and I started off in Yeshiva University. And over there, there was a much bigger chess group. Over here, I'll just quickly explain that one. But over there, it was you had a lot of people interested because when I was there, it was around the time where we had the Magnus Hans scandal. We had it was still within Queen's Gambit time, so that the TV show had still had a little bit of presence left. Every once in a while now I'll meet somebody and be like, "Oh, chess," I watched the Queen's Gambit, but it doesn't really happen so much anymore. And I think Middens also, for some reason, took over the internet a little bit when that came out. That was really fun to sort of see that, just like a chess bot. You're like, what does that even mean? A chess computer that's like a cat, and it was very funny. So at that point, there was a lot bigger of a crowd, especially because over there we had National Master Brian Weiss and also Grandmaster Semyon Lomazov, who recently just played in the World Blitz Championship and got 31st. So that was really cool to see. So having those people there, there's a bit of a bigger crowd over here. We're starting to build it up slowly. This is my second semester here, so right now we actually just today had the career fair, not the career fair. I'm so sorry. The club fair, and I was able to speak to a lot of the guys, especially because chess.com so graciously provided me with some merch, some pens, and some other things that actually got a lot more people signing because they're like, hey, why none of the other clubs really have anything? Let's come over here and see all this stuff, and we were able to advertise some tournaments as well, and hopefully in the future we've been a part of the NYICC League, which is a New York chess league that some of the colleges sort of put together, and it's been really nice how we have tournaments every month or so, and it's just been like a really amazing thing to sort of bring all the colleges together throughout New York. So we've been able to build up the chess community within Lander College for Men through these tournaments, through these types of advertising, and hopefully we're growing, and hopefully starting in a few weeks we're going to try to have our first tournament in house. So that should be great. We'll see how that goes.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love how much chess is going on in New York. It's very much a chess hub here in the U.S. And there's not really that many outside of New York. I mean, obviously, Charlotte Chess Center is a big place. A lot of streamers are there, and it's good to have them. And I'm living in St. Louis, which is arguably the chess capital with the World Chess Hall of Fame. I know there's a lot of places in California that you can play, but New York is definitely one of the most famous places to play chess, especially at Washington Square Park. I know that's where NYU is very close there, and I think there's like Baruch College as well. And um, have you gone and played in the park there?
Yeah, so actually what's really funny is the reason why I mentioned career fair before is because I had one for my college the other day, and afterwards I was just like, you know what, let's go to Bryant Park, which is right by. And I just sat down there, and I was all like dressed up, so it was like a little funny going there and playing like all dressed up against some chess hustlers there in the park. But it was actually funny because they don't Bryant Park it's in like Times Square area. So they usually have chess stuff on the other side of the park. And when I went, it was on a different side, and I sort of asked like, "Hey, what's the switch?" And they basically had said that during the winter they like switch sides, and I didn't know because I haven't been there in a while. But we have Bryant Park, we have Washington Square, we have Union Square Park. Also, those are really the three big parks. Um, for me, the coolest place I've probably been to in New York would be Marshall's Chess Club, um, and that has some really cool history there. When you go inside and you see, I've played in one big tournament there. For me, probably the coolest thing there was a chess table there that Capablanca had played on there, playing at a memorial tournament for him, and Bobby Fischer then played on that same table. So that, and they have this encased in glass there. It's just sitting there. No one's allowed to touch it, but it's really cool to see. They have also one of the tables, I think from one of the World Championships, I think is sitting. I'm trying to remember what year it is. They use that table, like the table itself, not the chess board, but the table itself is board one. So when you go in there and you play a tournament, if you're playing at board one, you will play on the same table. I think Magnus, I'm trying to remember what year. Would it be like 2016, maybe 2015, somewhere around that range? They have the table just sitting there, and you can like go and sit down, and it's really cool. So New York has a ton of chess stuff, especially around all the colleges here, which makes it very easy to just sort of jump around and play chess whenever. And I love how obviously you do have at some point I have to go to St. Louis to see the Chess Hall of Fame is very much up there. But New York is definitely has built a amazing and giant chess network.
Yeah, it's really cool that you can go and just see a piece of chess history. It's not every day that you can have that experience, unless you live in New York, then maybe it is every day.
Yeah.
So definitely, that's really cool. Are you from New York? Have you always lived there?
So I've lived in New Jersey, a little bit in New York. Now I'm currently in college in New York, so I spend most of my time here.
Okay, cool. And what are you currently studying?
So I'm studying computer science. A lot of the, for me, one of the reasons that sort of drew me is there's a lot of similarities between computer science and chess. To me, the biggest one that really draws me to it is the fact that it's always like a puzzle you have to figure out. And as a person who used to do way too many chess puzzles a day, obviously there's no such thing as too many chess puzzles, but a person who did, maybe if there is such thing as too many chess puzzles, I did way too many chess puzzles a day. Being able to, sort of do that, but in another subject is really cool and a lot of fun. So for me, being able to do that as a career, I mean, that's just absolutely amazing. That's the dream. So yeah.
Yeah, and I obviously work for chess.com, and you told me a little earlier that you actually played against another chess.com staff member, my coworker Alex Lebo, who is also a streamer, although I haven't seen him stream in a while. I gotta get on him
Yeah.
about that. But yeah, first off, how'd that game go?
So we played two games. The first game we drew, I was up, and then I sort of just fumbled the bag and gave him a perpetual, and he ended up getting the perpetual. The second game, he had the advantage most of the game. We played another game after we spoke, and then I just started blundering pawns in the end game, and it was over.
Oh
I mean, there
man.
was nothing left. So maybe next time I'll play him again and beat him, but we'll see how it goes.
We gotta get that rematch. It'd be funny if we set up like a chess.com staff versus college,
Oh yeah,
tournament
that would be
maybe.
awesome. I think that would be
Um,
great.
I've always been thinking about doing like an alumni tournament or an
Hmm.
alumni league even, because a lot of us at chess.com have, gone to college and are part of an alumni network, and just, large audience of our chess community is like a majority is outside of college. So I think there's a market there potentially. But what are your plans after graduating? Like, what do you want to use your degree for?
So I'm hoping to, become a software engineer. I've thought about different companies that I'd like to work at. Honestly, I would say the dream is really chess.com. That would be the dream, just to be able to combine, all of my interests. But really just looking to see where I can help build something, with code. I think that's really what I want, is to be able to build something. I think that, for a lot of people, sometimes they sit and they do code, and they're just sort of, I know some people are interested in other aspects. For me, I really want to be able to help like build something big that I can sort of see what I'm actually accomplishing, throughout my career.
That's really awesome. I don't know anything about engineering or code, and I think it's funny if I tell people I work for chess.com, they think I'm, in tech and I code or I'm like a engineer of some sort, but I'm like, no, I just organize tournaments for colleges mainly, but I'm also part of the streamer program and on our partnerships team. I definitely think that chess.com has a wide range, a diversity of staff members. A lot of what we do is, um, definitely running the app and the website itself. I think a majority are engineers, but outside of that, we do have partnerships team. We have a lot of marketing. We have a lot of people working with different businesses and sponsorships. Obviously, running events is a huge part of what chess.com does. Speed Chess Championship and our live broadcasts and events and coverage. A lot of news is happening on chess.com. We have a writing team, social media team is a big part of that. And I think if you look at how chess.com is run versus any other company, there's a lot of parallels. And I also think running a chess club is similar in that you have events and you have marketing and social media, right? Are you the president of the club at your school?
Yeah, I am the president. And just to backtrack and make a point, I think that really one of the things I really like about chess.com is its ability to sort of globalize chess beyond anything else. Whereas, they really get everybody involved and they try to link to everything. And I think that's what makes chess.com really so special beyond any other chess organization, throughout the world. They've just been able to globalize it like nobody else has been able to. But back to at Lander College for Men, yeah. So I did take over when I joined. Actually, the old president was graduating, and he sort of just asked me, "Hey, can you take over the slot for me?" And I'm just like, "Yeah, sure. I'll try to bring back the spark of chess to college here."
And I wanted to ask, as the club leader and as a member of the board, are there other board members or officers that maybe are in charge of other aspects? Like, I want to focus a little bit on the social media aspect. Do you guys have social media pages?
So we personally don't. We're still building that up. Hopefully that'll be up soon. I would like to. I mean, one person I would say is Kiwi Ample. He's been really big on helping grow the chess community here. And he's also been playing for a long time, and he's been really helping me like a right hand man, just going through all the motions, setting up events, tournaments, that type of stuff is really. He's been really helpful with that. There's a few other members, but most of them have been they've been coming to the events but not really organizing. I would say he's really the other guy who's been helping me through all this type of stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And you mentioned this New York inter. I'm thinking intercollegiate
Yeah.
league. It's
Yeah, intercollegiate chess league, yeah.
do you guys
That
have a
has
team competing in that?
So that basically is run. It's not run as teams. It's run as sort of an open event to anybody who would like to go. Which I think, depending on the crowd, can either bring in more people or less people. I think with the serious players, a lot of times, what we noticed at the beginning when we were starting it is when we had it sort of an open, we wouldn't have as many serious players because when you just have everybody there, it makes it a little harder. So what we had decided was to basically put in brackets and divisions. So we have like the expert division, we have the beginner division. So that actually creates, having the serious aspect and the fun aspect. So it's mostly just an open for everybody. There are so many colleges involved with it. Um, I cannot name all of them. There's just a lot of them, but really any New York college, and if any others would want to join, they can obviously reach out to you or me in any way, and be able to join in to this league because it's honestly it's just super special to be able to have like it's really throughout like all of New York, just chess league with as many colleges as possible, just meeting new people, playing a ton of chess. So it's really been amazing for really everybody involved.
That's awesome. Yeah, and that's in person.
Yeah, it's in person. All the events are run in person. I think there might have been a time where we tried to do something online, but people just like the in person better. You get the experience of meeting new people and also being able to play a lot of chess. And over the board, I think for serious events like this, people like that type of aspect.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely have to ask a little bit more about some details regarding that.
Yeah.
And do you know like who the main organizer is?
So I don't I have to get I'll have to get back to you with that one. There are a few people, but there is one guy I could send you his contact info later, I guess. I would say just a little funny shout out about the events. I think it was last semester, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to remember what semester it was, but we had one of the guys had decided, why don't we try to bring in some chess celebrities to this event? And somebody had reached out to Gotham, and I remember that we were almost able to get him to come, but he sent his books instead, which was very funny because we were all like, "Oh, Gotham's gonna come," and then just a bunch of books were there, and we were like, "Oh, okay, this is very cool." But maybe one day we'll be able to bring him on. I think he was busy at the time; something else was happening. He happened, I mean, as you could probably guess, happens to be a pretty busy person. Helping chess grow throughout the world. I mean, recently I saw him at the freestyle chess tour, the event that they had. I think it was in Germany. So I mean, I didn't go, but seeing him on the broadcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely true. He's all over the place. In fact, he's actually joining Danny Rench and Alexander Botez, among others, at MIT for a conference with their business school. They'll be speaking. I think Danny's gone there many years now. And it's really cool to see that chess is getting a lot of this sort of spotlight, and people are starting to pay even more and more attention to it these days, even years after you'd mentioned like Queen's Gambit and the Hans and Magnus drama, which recently resurfaced in the spotlight. I don't know if you watched any of Magnus's podcast with Joe Rogan.
So I will say I didn't watch the podcast, but I happened to actually attend the World Blitz Championship where I actually was able to go to the event and see what was happening. I'll give like a little bit of shout out to my YouTube channel there. I did record like a VOD. I've never done VODs, but I recorded a VOD so people could see what it's like to go to a prestigious event like this. But I think the craziest, I mean, there are a few crazy moments. I think firstly, at that event, was when I was outside waiting to go in and sort of waiting to see the players as they go in. There was a TV broadcast there. The channel was, I think, NRK. I think it's a Norwegian channel. And I was talking to one of the guys there, and he's like, "Hey, can you join in? Would you like to be interviewed?" And I was like, "Sure, you know." So he's like, "I want to interview you though about the Hans versus Magnus." So then we went on for a few minutes talking about what it was going to happen because they did face off in the first match of the World Blitz Championship. So we talked about that for a few minutes, and then afterwards, when we went in and we saw the match, what was actually very interesting is, as you probably know, Magnus did win the overall, I guess, face off in the end, but Hans did win. I forget which game it was, either one or two. So Hans did have a bit of the uphand for a little bit, but at the end of it, when Magnus did finally win, I wasn't even focusing on the game because everybody was sort of crowding around that game, making it a little hard to see. So I was focusing, I think, on Wesley So's game as he was playing. Happens to be Wesley So. Honestly, a great person to talk to because I got to talk to him for a lot after the games, which is really cool for me. That was, like meeting some of the greatest chess players of all time is, really cool for me. But I was focusing on his game, and you just hear like a smash, and everybody has no clue what's happening. What happened? It made a whole noise that sort of just echoed around the entire event space. But after Magnus won, he like slammed down. You probably have seen videos. He like slams down the piece at the end of the game in the middle of the board. And I think later he had just sort of talked about like this was the finish of the type of beef a little bit throughout that. But it was, I mean, nobody really. It was crazy. I mean, there was a lot of bitterness between the two players at the event. You could see it. Especially after the games when they got up. Yeah, I mean that event was really cool. I think one other little tidbit of the event that I'll mention that didn't really have to do so much with the Hans Magnus beef, but Magnus Carlsen, the one person who I really wanted to meet, throughout the event, I wasn't really able to meet him, but I did have one moment with him during one of his games after he finished. I was standing like right there, right? If you see the videos online, you could see really where everybody is like 5 feet away from the boards, which was so special for me because I, got to see all these great players. Not only that, I wasn't like sitting, when you go to like a baseball game or a football game, let's say, you're sitting all the way up in the stands. Here I was 3 feet from them. So I walk over to the front of the thing as Magnus is walking by. There's like this little waiting area after the games, and I'm like, I gotta say something to him. So I noticed he wasn't really speaking to anybody, right? He doesn't, he's very focused, and I respect that a lot. When you're focused, especially like if you could imagine, like if somebody's in, some intense, moment, let's say like the Olympics, right before they're about to, I don't know, run up and do a jump or whatever it is, or right before a big race, and you just walk over and you're like, hey, can I talk to you for 5 minutes? Like it doesn't really work, right? They're all focused and they're ready. So I definitely understand it. But I basically decided I'm just gonna stick out my hand and hope that he like shakes my hand. So I stuck out my hand and he looks at me and he's just like, no. He's just like this. And I just whisper to him because I can't like say anything out loud. I'm just like, come on, just a handshake. And he just looks at me, he like rolls his eyes, laughs, and he walks over and shakes my hand. So I was like, that was really funny for me. And I think what was so funny afterwards is that after the event, I don't know if you recently heard on the news, but Magnus decided to sell his jeans from the event that he afterwards, due to the controversy. For I guess if anybody doesn't know, he was kicked out of the World Rapid Championship for wearing jeans. They wanted him to have a more, I guess, formal dress code. He had said, okay, I'll change after. They had basically said, okay, but you need to play now, so you need to be in a formal dress code. So he had quit the matches, but they invited him back for the Blitz, and he was still wearing those jeans. So jokingly, I decided, we're going to wear the same thing to the event. I'm going to wear jeans and a blazer. And one of my friends jokingly had said to me, he's like, Uli, you should sell your jeans. You shook his hand while he was wearing those jeans, and you're also wearing jeans. So I don't think I'm going to sell them, but, who knows, maybe in the future. But, I mean, that event was quite a fun one, so.
And maybe you guys could trade your jeans, kind of like how they do in the sporting matches. The players will swap jerseys sometimes, but I don't know if your jeans are gonna be quite as expensive. Did you put a bid in for his? Because I
I
saw.
did not. When I first saw them, they were at $7,000, and I was like,
Mm,
I think me as a college student, I don't think I have money yet of anywhere of that standard.
yeah, it's fair.
So yeah, I was like, you know what, maybe next time, maybe when somebody resells them. Um, I did love though how there is a picture on the eBay listing, not just of the jeans, but of him signing a paper verifying. I was like cracking up because he's just sitting there in like a hoodie, and it's just, but you could tell. I mean, yeah, he signed it. It's a very funny moment.
I think
Um,
the last I saw, the price was over double that. So,
oh my gosh,
uh,
wow.
yeah, you could have put a bid in early, maybe, but maybe not anymore. I definitely wouldn't be purchasing those jeans, although I do need some more clothes. But anyways, yeah, Magnus, very very cool guy to have met, and you got to shake his hands and also match him with the jeans. So that seems pretty cool. Do you think your elo has gone up since shaking his hand?
Yeah, I mean, of course, it's definitely gone up. I actually just reached my peak rapid rating on chess.com did hit 1900. So, it has gone up since I shaken his hand. So,
Wow.
just
Okay.
even shaking his hand, I will say to disappoint everybody, I have washed the hand. But yeah, we have increased the rating a little bit since shaking his hand. So, yeah, definitely has gone up.
Yeah, I bet if you got his jeans, the elo would go to 2000.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think I would have just instantly been a grandmaster by then if I had just even just put them on once. Purchasing them 2000, putting them on would instantly grandmaster right away.
Yeah, yeah. You know, people say it's tough to walk in other shoes, but it's probably easier to play chess in Magnus's jeans.
Definitely.
All right. Well, you have obviously a lot of fun experiences playing chess in New York.
Mhm.
What's the next plan or event for your school's club?
So the next event we're trying to do is in a few weeks. We're going to run a tournament. I'm still have to confirm with the college just because I want to try to get cash prizes involved. Obviously, there will be more of the merch provided by chess.com. There will be more of that merch there. But I would like to try to get cash prizes. I think that that will draw in more people and create a more fun competition. So that's going to be the next event. We do have weekly meetups. We didn't have it this week. I'm still not sure if we're going to have it next week of just like a very chill type of chess vibe. So you just have some boards out, people can sit down, eat some pizza, play some chess if they want. Um, so we'll sort of see if that's going to happen. Just because I think next week the college is running a program, so I'm not sure if we're going to have it next week. It might be that the first event is going to be that tournament. I know that the NYCC we're trying to schedule another tournament. We are trying to find a place for it, though. One of the big issues is, when you have, let's say 70 or 80 people show up to an event space, you need to have a college or a university that's willing to, house that many people. So, a lot of times the only issue we have with a lot of it, just because we have so many people who want to come, is just getting the event space planned out. Um, but we have had, I think there was the last one I think was at Fordham. I could be wrong. There might have been, oh no, maybe there's one at City. I'm trying to remember specifically. Um, but they've been a lot of fun. But I don't know if anything's been confirmed for next month yet regarding that. So I guess people can still join and maybe even, I guess, volunteer to host. So if any other colleges out there, I guess, that are listening in New York that are maybe we'll even be able to bring Gotham this time, and maybe we could get Gotham at your university or college. So that'll be fun. But um, but yeah, we'll see how that goes. So that should be hopefully the next event. I would say regarding though, even chess in general here. I mean, all the colleges that are, a lot of them are, when I speak to guys throughout other colleges, they're all planning events within their college, which has just sort of, as we sort of mentioned before, the fact that you have chess all over just creates so many events. So it's really not very hard in New York, which is amazing to find any type of chess event. Like I feel like with a lot of these other things, sometimes when you're looking at some of the Masters play. It's usually weeks or even months before you get to see some of these really big tournaments, but we have them all the time, which is just amazing. So it's really great having that New York like web, I guess, of people
Yeah.
playing chess.
Yeah. I know there's other states that have a college league, like Massachusetts is another example. I also wanted to give a shout out to Nate in Pennsylvania, who's organizing the Pennsylvania College Speed Chess Championship, modeled after Chess.com Speed Chess Championship.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, I know Massachusetts has like its own separate Discord server, but
hmm
how do the New York schools really stay in touch? Like, is there just is it mouth to mouth? Like you guys are speaking about the events, just spreading the word that way, or is it
So
online?
we have like sort of, I guess you would call them ambassadors, the same sense, from each college, and we have a group chat with all of these guys in there. So obviously, if any other colleges wanted to reach out, they could contact me or you, and you could send them to me, and I would be able to put them on this chat. We would love, obviously, we'd love to have more people. We usually just have like one representative, one or two, depending on the university or college, that sort of helps just sort of organize, and they are sort of responsible to advertise within their college, and some of the people will make flyers and whatnot. So it's just like it's this whole network, I guess, but it's really from this one chat, that's just very easy and has been amazing. So
Where's the group chat?
it's on WhatsApp, so it's
Okay,
just like, yeah. So it's through phone numbers and whatnot,
awesome.
but yeah, and
Yeah,
Discord.
so I wanted to give a sort of a sneak peek announcement of what ambassadors should be expecting for this upcoming month in our college ambassador program. This is something that we ran 2 years ago, back in 2023, and we didn't do it last year, but we're bringing it back. It's called Chess Madness. So any old ambassadors that remember, hopefully they're excited. And essentially, what it is, we're creating a bracket on challenge.com of every school in the ambassador program. And it's essentially just a vote. So we're going to be encouraging the ambassadors to share the link with their clubs. And hopefully, everyone's going to try to promote this event on their campus or on their socials. And I believe last time we did it, we ended up getting over 100,000 total votes, which is just phenomenal. And I think a lot of schools really try to rally their communities to get as many votes as possible. And yeah, that should be announced next week. And I'm wondering maybe the New York schools can form some sort of alliance and try to vote for their fellow New Yorkers to get them through to the next round. And ultimately, the winning schools will all receive prizes, mostly merch, but we also have some Chessable credit, and our plan is to send out a custom board and a social media post from the main chess.com channel to the ultimate winner. So I think last time UC Irvine won, so out in the West Coast, but maybe the New York schools can rally together and use their network.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a shot. I'm trying to think now how many people we would have. I don't know their numbers. I mean, 100,000 sounds like a lot, because in the NYCC, I would say we get like at our good events we have a little over 100. So I don't know that those numbers, but we will definitely get close. Maybe we'll get to the semifinals or something. Um, that would definitely be a good shot. I think we could definitely move up the brackets a little bit. We'll work together a little bit. We'll see how that goes. But that does sound like a lot of fun, and lots of cool different pieces there to just sort of 100,000 votes. That is, I didn't hear that number. So that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like building momentum, and every single round you get more and more people interested in voting. But you also have to imagine the ambassador program is an international program. We have schools from all around the world, and people aren't just going to vote for your school. They're going to vote for pretty much every single matchup because you can't submit, I don't think, for just one particular mat. I mean, I'm pretty sure you vote for the whole round. So people even that want to go vote for like their school in California, for example, are also going to have to vote for your match. So you just kind of have to choose your alliances, I think, with other schools and try to see if you can get their votes as well. So it's not just like people voting for your school; it's people voting for every particular matchup. So we're gonna split it though. It's gonna be U.S. schools and international schools are gonna be on a separate bracket. But we'll have other membership prizes for the international schools. But I'm really excited to be bringing this back, and I'm really looking forward to seeing all the different creative ways people are going to try to get votes, either from their own community or, like I mentioned, through some sort of alliance through the other schools in the ambassador program. So it's really good that you guys have a group chat because you
Yep.
can utilize that and use your connections. And I definitely recommend that people join the Discord server and try to connect that way with the other schools. So the ambassador program really fun. You'd mentioned we'd sent out some free merch. Maybe you guys can utilize that and try to maybe even use your own events to try to garner some votes. Um, but yeah, I think that this is something that was really fun last time we did it, and I'm really looking forward to running it back again this year and seeing all the ways that people are gonna engage with this. So um, yeah, I'm really excited. I'm glad to announce it, and we're gonna have a more official announcement post on the actual chess.com website next week, and I'll be sure to announce that on our Discord server.
Sounds great. That is, I mean, that sounds like a lot of fun. I'm gonna have to think of some good strategies to be able to get some more people. I do know that some of the other New York schools are a little bigger, but maybe they can help us get through the first rounds, and then they'll probably end up overtaking us, which will be great for them. I'm happy to see a New York college win. I am a little nervous though because I don't have so much hope of us making it to the finals, but I think we can get a New York school close to there with the group together. I have a few in mind that might be able to. I won't cast my vote just yet, but I have a few colleges or universities that might, be able to get a little closer to maybe even taking the whole thing.
Yeah, and that's the interesting part is if you do create some sort of alliance, let's say, for your votes early on, eventually you're gonna have to start deciding because the teams are gonna get paired against each other.
Oh yeah.
So alliances will be made and then broken all in the same event. So there can only be one victor at the end.
Oh
Um,
my gosh.
but yeah, um, this is just one idea that it doesn't even involve any actual chess competition or play. It's just straight up voting. Obviously, competitively, we have the Collegiate Chess League, which is actually getting to week 6 now. We only have 2 weeks left of the regular season.
Mhm.
We're actually going to be covering a match tomorrow in Division One, Mizzou versus SLU, which is a big one. Those are the two top teams. They're both undefeated so far, and it's the finals rematch from last season. Do you have a favorite in that matchup?
I don't have a favorite. No. I have heard about both teams and they're both pretty good. It does scare me a little bit sometimes when I look at some of the teams and I see the rating gaps between what our numbers are, our rating, and then some of these players, and I'm like, holy cow! I mean, this is a whole nother level. So being able to watch these sometimes is just crazy when I see these events.
Yeah, you did mention though your old school yeshiva had a grandmaster.
Yeah, so shout out to him, Samin Lomazov. He graduated. He's now, I think, in Stanford in their graduate program. So he wouldn't be a part of YU anymore. But I think he did play. I'm trying to remember what he did play. And there was a big event, if I'm not mistaken, the Pan Ams, I think, that he played in and did very well. Um, that was right after like the World Blitz Championship. So he was, coming off that event and, getting 31st. I remember watching that event and just I was watching the Rapid. I remember he didn't do as well, but that was because he faced I think five super GMs, and it was like crazy to watch because I mean he's very good. He's I think the mid in the classical like mid 2500s, which for a GM is pretty good. He played I remember against Wesley So and drew him, and all of us were freaking out. I mean that was quite a game. He played against Dubov as well, a few others. Um, but he did in the Blitz. He still played against I think a few Super GMs, but he was able to get 31st. And really, I mean, I just remember one. I think one above him was Anish Giri, and like that, like putting that into perspective of like how well he did was just really cool. Being able to watch him play has also been really cool. Just over the board or online, because I think like people like GMs think way differently than we do just as people in general. Like I think that's also like something people don't really realize, and I sort of realized not just from him but also going to the World Blitz Championship is they're a whole different breed of like species. They really like they're beyond their level of thinking is beyond any of ours, and just the way they think about chess is phenomenal. What I do love though is sometimes hearing like the I guess the tough mentality. He is a very I would say like sort of like tough mentality towards chess that you sort of get sometimes with some of the more like some of the Russian players. And it's really funny watching that happen in real time just because like you'll let's say you'll make a move and just like no that's wrong, like those types of things are very funny to see when you see like top players. I think who was it that I remember there was I saw a video I think with Dina Belianko was talking about I think she was running some event and maybe Daniel Naroditsky was talking about the Russian chess schools and sort of showing like an endgame puzzle, or maybe it was another member of the event space there. But yeah, I mean, being able to see Grandmasters play, and also shout out to National Master Brian Weiss, who's also a really good player. And being able to watch him play, I think when you really get to see some of these masters play, it's a whole different thing. I will just mention a little bit about him. When he plays, he'll start off games like knight h3 and he'll win these games, and it's so funny to watch that because you're like that's not a move, like you can't play that and win, but he does it and he wins consistently. So it's really funny to watch that if you ever see him at a tournament, and or you just happen to want to see some of these silly games, look them up because they are absurd. He'll just play the weirdest openings and he'll win like he'll get positional advantage, he'll win the games, and it's crazy to watch. So being able, I would say, I know it went a bit off topic there, but being able to, I think, just see grandmasters play, if you have the chance, or just masters play, is really just really cool. Just being able to watch them, go off and do their thing is something that's just amazing.
Yeah, they're almost superhuman, and I think we watched two Yale matches these last 2 weeks in the CCL where I believe it was International Master Max Liu who was playing Knight H3 to start his games. Some of them I don't think ended up working out. I think they played Slew and Mizzou back to back, so it's kind of rough. But it reminds me a little bit of Grandmaster Wonder Liang, who played
Mhm.
for U Chicago. He would be playing like the Bong Cloud against other titled players and just be crushing them still. So it is pretty crazy what these titled players can do, and it's also crazy to think that these are just college kids still playing in the Collegiate Chess League or in other events, like you mentioned. And I think that's also just really cool that they could just go out and play fun and not necessarily take an otherwise serious event so seriously. But definitely, we're going to see some serious chess played tomorrow between Mizzou and Slew. Perhaps a preview of the finals, certainly a finals rematch, not only from last season, but back in season one as well, I believe. And Slew won that one initially. Mizzou won the most recent one. So I'm excited to see. Slew's definitely gotten some reinforcements this season. They recruited Victor Gajic, who was playing for UT Rio Grande, as well as Aryan Chopra, who's been absolutely crushing it so far. So I'm really curious to see. And I also think it's cool that Mizzou was able to win, and that snapped Slew's three in a row streak, and now Slew is like recruiting people to like almost combat that. So Ariantari, obviously a huge addition to the Mizzou team, large part of why they won last season. But the Collegiate Chess League is not all about the top level chess players, right? You mentioned watching these schools, it's almost even intimidating to see like how does a college team have four grandmasters where it's like an anomaly to have even just one, nonetheless having multiple titled players at all. But a vast majority of the Collegiate Chess League is actually just, average players or even below average players. Our lowest division is actually Division 24, which has an average team rating less than 800. So anyone in college that has any interest in chess, regardless of your skill, is able to join and compete in the Collegiate Chess League. And just starting this season, we've actually started focusing our broadcasts on some of these lower divisions. In fact, we have some college rivalry matches. Last week we watched Texas versus Texas A&M, and this upcoming weekend we're going to be watching Arizona State versus University of Arizona, so an Arizona rivalry, and that is all the way down in Division 13. So,
I
um,
think, yeah. I mean, I think what's so special about the Collegiate Chess League and chess.com is you have that. Even today when I was at the club fair, two of the guys actually came over to me and they said, "I'm not good at chess. Like, should I join?" And I said, "Of course. I mean, first of all, we have all these fun events that are not, intense. And secondly, we did also offer lessons as a possibility if enough people wanted. I've been teaching chess for I think almost 4 years now. So, for me, it's a lot of fun to be able to teach and to be able to, just spread that love of chess. I think that, that throughout the NYCC as well. I mean, we have, I know that this is sort of the off branch of the Collegiate Chess League, but we have, different brackets where we have, people who are completely unrated playing in these events. And it just the point, I think what, chess.com is doing very well, especially with these new, with all these new things. And, really what the goal is to just spread chess all over. And it shouldn't be, this, all the time, just only GMs playing. And I think also what you mentioned that's also important is like, you don't usually see four GMs. I mean, even having one GM at our college was crazy. And, that's something that I didn't even, the amount of like steps that takes in general just to happen to have somebody who's there is crazy, just even one. So I think that's sort of like a misconception. A lot of people see these, sometimes they'll see these really cool matches between some legends, in chess and at the college level, and they're like, oh, every college, has a team of, four GMs or whatever. No, we have lots of players of every rating who come to all these events, who enjoy their time here because it's just about having fun playing chess, and that's sort of the goal of all these events and all these programs is just to spread the love of chess. So very important.
love that. I couldn't have put it better myself. That's what it's all about, is just having a good time and spreading the love and joy we have for this beautiful game that's brought us all together. And honestly, I love it. I love the community. I love everyone that I met in the college community. Lot of great people. And I think that's what's so cool about the college community specifically is you get a lot of these different people that are just joining their college clubs. And a large part of it is thanks to these club fair days. And also, huge shout out to the club leaders that are organizing these events that give people things to go to, things to look forward to. And I definitely think that we could do even better job of marketing these events and trying to spread the word out, right? Not everybody knows about the Collegiate Chess League or the College Ambassador Program or even that their school has a club. Or a lot of schools don't even have clubs because people aren't being there organizing the events or reserving the rooms or gathering the group on a group chat or Discord server.
Hmm. I
Um,
think, yeah, regarding that, I think I do want to give a big shout out to David Ogaev, he was the really member of the YU Chess Club when I was there, who really like brought out the event, the club to what it is now, really made it. Meaning, obviously, us having two masters there does something to the club, but even that, a lot of people didn't really know that they were there, and he sort of did a really great job in sort of making the event into something. I remember one time we had like 70 people from just one university show up to the event, and it was everybody was shocked because how, I mean, we maybe knew 10, 20 people, and he had just advertised it very well, and brought in a lot of people. So I do want to give just a big shout out to him for being able to do that. And yeah, definitely on that note, I think that we're starting to see that a little more, where you're starting to have people sort of step up and try to build up chess within their college. And I think a big part of that is just the college ambassador program. I think has just done so much in sort of starting that, because when you have something brought out by a big organization like chess.com that's helping to sort of bring in students and showing that they're paying attention to colleges, and giving merch, let's say, or just helping organize events and other things like that. Being able to have that makes it a lot easier. And just also, I guess, a little shout out to chess.com there, just in the sense of being able to help build this up as well, and is doing such a great job of that. And seeing all this chess stuff builds up throughout everywhere, all across not just America, but all across the globe as well, as you mentioned, that starting to see more programs internationally. And it's always fun to sort of see on the Discord chat when I see like, hey, I'm from, I think I've seen like I'm from India, and it's like, whoa, like we have programs that we're doing, the same program is happening all the way on the other side of the globe. It's really amazing to see that, and being brought out by chess.com, which is just huge.
Yeah, and I'm really lucky to be part of the team to help drive more attention to the college chess community. And I kind of wanted to end things here with a final question for myself. What would you like to see more of from chess.com in regards to growing college chess?
So I think for me, one of the big things I sort of mentioned that we try to bring Gotham Chess. This is not a shot at Gotham Chess. I want to clarify. Um, but we did try to bring him to one of these events, and he wasn't able to come. I think one of the things that I think would make it a little better is, I know that a lot of these colleges, as I mentioned, we have the access to a lot of chess.com now, because the colleges have graciously chess.com has graciously given us that access, and given us more networks and whatnot to be able to essentially form all these different programs without their colleges, and individual, let's say, state leagues, as we've mentioned. A few states, including ours, have started to do that. I think one thing that would sort of make it a little more out there is, I've noticed that within chess.com, it's like there's chess.com and there's the chess.com college stuff. I think that the reason why a lot of people aren't able to notice it is because it's in like its sort of own section. And I think if we were to able to bring that a little bit over, now I understand that with a lot of the advertising, usually on the front page, you want to put your super GMs and, your GMs and all those players. So sometimes, even though, we do have leagues where we have, 4 GMs on a team, and that's like the whole team is GMs, it's not the same level of chess. And I sort of understand that. But I think what chess.com is doing really well, and as I mentioned, my favorite really part about them is they sort of just able to advertise to everybody. It's not just to your serious chess players. So I think in that sense, if they were to sort of advertise, and maybe, it doesn't have to be send people who are well known in chess, although that's one way of doing it, but just sort of advertise the chess leagues and the chess clubs on their main pages, and I think that will bring attention to the colleges. And once you bring attention from outside of the colleges into the colleges, it will make its way into the colleges up. For example, if a college doesn't have a chess club, or they're not part of the ambassador program, yes, they might hear about it through word of mouth or through some of the advertising that chess.com has within the college stuff, but they're not going to hear it from like the regular chess.com. So if you have one student who's playing just on chess.com, chances are he's probably not going to notice. I mean, there are times where when I have noticed advertisements to the CCL leagues that are happening. Especially, I think Arantari has been on. I mean, he is a great player. There's a reason why he's been on a lot of the advertisements. And I assume probably also some of that has to do with his relationship with Magnus as well. That sort of brings in more attention. But I think like if we can get that to the average chess player, it could just be one student in a college that doesn't have a program. He sees that this exists. He'll be able to then be like, hey, you know what? I should bring this to my college, and I should bring this to my university. And then he might make that switch over, and help grow a whole new network of college students playing chess. And it could be also that some of these colleges already play chess and have their own things. But I think if we can get that advertising of the program a little more out there, even you have high school students, let's say, who are going to college soon, we can maybe even get those students to already know about it. So when they're coming in, they can help build it up if it doesn't exist, or even if it's small, build it up even more. Um, I don't know if chess.com has some type of, I'll be honest, I haven't seen the advertising for it. It might be a little younger, but high school leagues. But again, you probably still have, super GMs at that level, honestly, based on the way that you see 3-year-olds now getting, 1,600 ratings, which is crazy to hear about. So you probably have, multiple GMs on a team in high school as well, which again, that's not your average chess player, as we clarified, but that probably still exists. But I think even, maybe getting even some seniors involved because, they'll be in college in another year. And especially because, at least speaking for myself, my senior year was not the most serious year. Happens to be that was the COVID year. So that was a lot of fun. Um, but I think senior year of high school already, those guys are sort of looking for these colleges and they're looking at that type of stuff. Even maybe bringing it then, would already start some of the fuel to increase just players and increase interest within the chess community. I think also I know that Pan Am's is a big event that brings a lot of colleges together. I think if they're I know that's I think just once a year. But I think a lot of it, maybe this just doesn't happen in New York because New York's a little easier to travel. But I haven't noticed so many events. I mean, first of all, the World Rapid and Blitz Championship was the first time it was hosted in New York. I think in America in general. Um, but I think some of the big events I've noticed, at least for me, like a bunch of my friends had asked me, "Hey, do you want to go to the World Open the U.S. Open this year?" And I said, "I am not traveling. I can't travel to Vegas because that's where it is." But I think bringing some more of these big events closer to New York because there's more people might be able to bring in more advertising. But that's me speaking from a bias of living in New York. But I think just bringing more of these, like national events where it's not just, I love how chess.com has, the leagues. I think bringing some of those more, I think doing more of those, would be good. Obviously, it is a big thing and it is a few weeks long and, not a few, it's quite a few weeks long. I think bringing more types of those events, maybe something a little more chill. At least for me, I really want to see chess.com go into the freestyle trend. So, if maybe chess.com does want to start getting into, maybe a chess 960, collegiate tournament, I think would bring in a lot of people just because it's not your usual form of chess. Um, but I think just these are types of things I assume that are going in the works already. But I think just doing more of what's really happening right now is just really amazing, and hope to see that more.
Awesome. Yeah, lots of great ideas. As far as the high school note goes, I've definitely been reached out to by a couple of high school students that are interested in joining the Collegiate Chess League, and
Mhm.
unfortunately, I just have to tell them they gotta wait a couple
Yeah.
years once they're in university. But starting a high school league would be a whole different beast altogether. I definitely unfortunately don't have the time for that. I think it would be a bigger project than the Collegiate Chess League
Yeah.
because of just how many high schools there are. So many high schools. There's a ton of colleges out there. There's so many colleges that we haven't even tapped into for the ambassador program or the CCL. And
Hmm.
so that's kind of my focus is continuing
Yeah.
to grow in that area, but maybe there's someone out there that's super passionate about high school chess and supporting those potential leagues. I know some states, similarly to like the New York College League, some states have their own high school leagues. And I think Massachusetts is another one. Illinois, I think, famously has had a lot of high school competitions for their schools. But as far as like a national level league, I think I think that's maybe someone else's passion project.
Yeah.
If there's any high schools out there listening, that's an area that I think is underutilized that people could see some improvement in for national organization. Um, But I know USCF does, I think, like an under 18 championship. Obviously, that's the high school demographic. But yeah, you had mentioned there are definitely some top level players that are very young, right before college. So clearly they are finding competitions to compete in. But as far as like a high school team goes, it's a little bit different. And once you get to the college level, you have Pan Ams, but like you mentioned, that's once a year. And so the
Mm.
Collegiate Chess League is really trying to fill in some of the gaps of the uh, calendar, so to speak. There's a handful of other college specific tournaments, many of them online, but for the most part, I think I'm pretty happy with the participation that the Collegiate Chess League is getting, and I'm really grateful that people are using it as a way to compete against other schools because without it, I don't know how many other opportunities there would be for these schools to be competing other than the self-organized leagues that New York has, for example. So definitely really appreciate all the college organizers out there. Definitely wish that there were some more because I think a lot of chess players are looking for fun events to participate in that are either local or online. Because as you mentioned, traveling is a really big reason why people can't go to things, and so Pan Am's I think is one great example of being held back by that as a limitation. But on the same hand, you love to have over the board competition, right? People love having that in person interaction, and so they make the trek. Um, and I would love for the Collegiate Chess League to have an in-person finals at some point. So that's something that has always been on the back of my mind, and maybe one of these days we can make it happen. But until then, we got to keep growing in the online space and doing the in-person events when we can. But Uli, it's been an
Yeah.
absolute pleasure, and I really appreciate you sharing all your thoughts. And yeah, good luck to you and your club and all of your events coming up. And good luck in Chess Madness next month.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's been a pleasure and an honor to be here. So thank you.
All right. Thanks everyone for watching. Be sure to tune in tomorrow. We're going to be live around this time, actually, on this same channel for Mizzou versus SLU. One team will remain undefeated, and the other will be handed their first loss of the season. And we only have 2 weeks left in the regular season before playoffs start. So definitely keep an eye out for that and tune in on Saturday at 2 o'clock Eastern for Arizona State versus University of Arizona. We've got a big Arizona rivalry there, and I hope to see you all then. So until then, I'll see you all next time, and hopefully, we'll also have another guest next week. And I'm expecting to help promote. There's a big college rivalry match overseas in the UK, Cambridge versus Oxford. Apparently, they've been doing an annual thing for 143 years in a row, which is, I think, the longest continuous chess match in the history of chess. Or so they've told me at least, but I honestly believe it. So yeah, that will also be streamed. I'm not sure the exact details just yet, but that's coming up soon in like a week. So keep an eye out for that. And definitely be sure to join our Discord where you're gonna be able to stay in touch with everyone and see all of our announcements. But yeah, thanks again, Uli. Really appreciate you and your time and all that you do for college chess.
Thank you. It's been great to be here.
All right, take care, everyone.
You too.